I think people should be warned. I think you need to be warned that if you have a YouTube channel where you're curating watches, it's kind of like running a circus. You are the circus barker clamoring for attention, and you're also the caged animal doing tricks for your audience. You're doing both. It's a dangerous place to be, man. You're both the lion tamer and you're the lion. Chew on that, man. Very dangerous. Very dangerous having a YouTube channel here on the 4th of July. I got to go to a 4th of July thing. I got to be careful when I drive out to Los Alamitos. There's a lot of highway patrol on the road and they're giving speeding tickets with a vengeance. So I got to be careful. Hope you're being careful too. I'm not going to any hot dog eating contests, but here's what I want to talk about today. A lot of you are telling me that you're accumulating too many watches. And we've talked about the bad effects of accumulating too many watches. What's happening is when you do that, you're neglecting your prized timepieces. And when you neglect them, you lose your bond with them. When you lose your bond with them, you feel disenchanted with them. And when that happens, you sell them. And then in their absence, you rebuy them. And this cycle that you guys are telling me about is so bad that you don't even feel like you're celebrating watches anymore. You feel like you're a rat in a Pavlovian experiment and you want out. You say you want out. You're always buying watches, you're always on the prowl, you're always on the internet looking at all that watch eye candy. You can't, it's just unbearable. And I do that too, and I try to laugh at myself when I do that. Do a little reality check here and there. And so here's the thing, man. If I tell you to just stop buying watches for 1 year, because here's the thing, you could reasonably do that. The reason why I say that is your collection as you have it right now is amazing. You have an amazing collection. You just need to be content with what you have. In fact, if you don't buy watches for a year, your contentment for the watches that you have right now will grow and grow and grow, and you'll find happiness. But here's the thing that a lot of us don't want to accept. You don't want to be happy. You don't want to be content. You don't want to stop buying watches because you're addicted to the addiction of buying watches, and you're addicted to unhappiness. You're addicted to being discontented with your watch collection. Why is that? Because buying watches is your therapy of choice. And what do you need therapy for? Well, we all need therapy in a sense. I think we have to look to the expert on this, and his name is George Carlin. George Carlin, one of the greatest comedians ever. He's on everybody's short list, and he said something. He said, when you're born, you get a free front row ticket to the freak show. And the freak show, it's funny, but it's brutal. It's hard to look at, isn't it? You wake up in the morning, you go on Twitter, or you go on the news. The freak show is unbearable, and you need therapy. And a lot of us, we're watch idiot savants, and our therapy is watches. Here's the thing, man. Therapy costs, on average, about $150 a session. That's $600 a month. That's $7,200 a year. You guys want to hear something? A lot of viewers are telling me you're spending $5,000 to $10,000 a year on your watch buying habit. Yeah, because that's your therapy. That's what it costs. And so just admit it, that you're not buying watches just to buy watches. You're buying it because it's your substitute for seeing a good therapist. It's what you want to do. And you don't want to be a rat in a Pavlovian experiment just doing the same mistakes over and over again. So if we're going to be using watches as our therapy, there's probably some guidelines. Let's look at some guidelines. Number one, you need to know what your watch tolerance level is for a size. I can't own much more than 8 or 9 watches without going completely crazy. I don't know. It's almost as if the accumulation of watches for me is a metaphor for the mental detritus, the mental flotsam and jetsam, the anxiety that's inside of me. But that's not true of everyone. My friend Ted, he owns Rolexes and tags and Seikos, everything. He has like close to 30 watches. He's completely fine with that. And so you just have to know what your psychological makeup is. That's number one. Number two, you might want to limit yourself to looking at watches online, going on certain YouTube videos that encourage unbridled watch obsession. You might want to limit it to like a half hour. That's the other thing. Third thing, probably should learn to laugh at yourself. Realize that George Carlin was right. We live in a freak show, and your watch addiction is kind of like the freak show within the freak show. Learn to laugh at yourself. Fourth thing I want to tell you, another guideline for you. Don't be ashamed of yourself for being a watch idiot savant. Some of our critics will say, all you do is talk about watches and look at watches. You need to get a life, man. I want to tell you something. A lot of us have a life. We raise families. We play the piano. We have careers. We do stuff, man. Granted, I'm a little antisocial, but a lot of us do stuff, and we're still watch idiot savants. I don't think we need to be ashamed or defend ourselves in that manner. So I think if you follow these guidelines and realize that, you know, you may not see a therapist in an office with a little Kleenex tissue by a little table as you sit in some kind of armchair, but you're kind of seeing a therapist, aren't you? You're paying money for it too. Yeah, you always pay the piper. Check your wallet and tell me if I'm wrong. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tell me what you think. Until next time, I'm out.